good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. And today we are going back behind my Spotify. This time around, we're going to be talking about an album that I've kind of been, I don't know, not waiting for, but like long anticipating. And today we're going to be going behind Victory by Puppet. Now, for me personally, I'm just going to throw this out there. This album, for me, it's not my album of the year. And like, because I have a list of like albums of the year so far, and after listening to this, like, it's not up there with all the albums I've listened to so far, but I really did like the album. I will say, like, if I had to like rate every Puppet album so far, I mean, we'll talk about it, but if I had to rate every Puppet album like so far, not rate, but put them on a list of where I place everything, I go at 1, New York Family; at 2, I know you know who I am; and then 3, Victory. That's the order I go in. I don't go back to like, I don't put EPs on the list just because like we focus on albums here on the channel with this series. And yeah, I really wanted to talk about this album because apparently there's just a lot to this album. One, there was a title change, which is crazy. I think there's also less songs on this album than what was mentioned, but I could be wrong about that. But also love there's just a lot to this album I like. The album artwork's really cool. We can kind of get into it now, but yeah, look at this crazy album artwork. Victory, and then says I've won again, which I think is in the lyrics of the song. But yeah, no, this album is super solid. I wouldn't, like, again, it's not my favorite album from Puppet, just because like I've been listening to Puppet since 2014. Yeah, 2014. Because the first thing that I listened to him, or the first thing I heard from him was Scribble featuring the Eden Project, which was, I first heard it on SoundCloud, so that was pretty cool when that came out, and I've been listening to him ever since. And I think I've talked about this, but I was really bummed when he said there was a point where he was taking a huge hiatus and he probably wasn't going to make music anymore, and I think that was after I Know You Know Who I Am, or it was before. But yeah, I was devastated because he was one of my favorite EDM artists. He was like, a lot of EDM artists kind of faded out for me. Like, I don't listen to a whole lot of EDM artists anymore. But Puppet for me kind of fits this, like, because he's not just an EDM artist anymore. He's like he's genre blending, which is really cool. And you don't get that a lot. You do not. And dude, Puppet, he's a phenomenal artist. And anyone who says he's not can come talk to me, okay? Okay. But we are going to get into talking about the album. And we'll start with like the things I liked from the album. I think this album's more experimental than New York Family, because going back to all these other albums, that's not what I wanted to go to. Hold on. What are we doing? Go back. Yes, thanks, Spotify. Going back to Puppet's like other albums, obviously New York Family Overdrive was just like a remix album of New York Family, but well deserved. I love that remix album. It's very good. But going back to like I Know You Know Who I Am, like this is the shortest album, I think, shorter than the remix, or about the same. But this album for me, like every Puppet album I think is structured to a certain degree, and but what I mean by that is like every song has its place on this album. Like, I don't know, you can listen to it from front to back and it feels very like organized. I don't know the right word for it, but when you go to New York Family, it's the same thing. Everything kind of has a structure to it. When you look at this new album, Victory, there's a lot of variety going on, because there's not just, you don't got your 3-minute songs, you don't have that. Because I think even when you go to like, I think the shortest song on this album is The Bay. And then you go to like New York Family. The short song is Dreaming? Yeah. I'm Dreaming. And so with this album, it's kind of a like and dislike for me. But what I am going to say about the like is I like that he's experimenting more with his music, because I think a lot of artists need to do that, and they need to try and put themselves out there. So there's a lot of shorter tracks on this album, which I don't know how many people are going to vibe with. Me personally, and I'm going to say this as a dislike in a minute, but like looking at how many shorter songs there are, there's 1, we'll say 2, 3, 4, and 5. So like 5 shorter songs, and then the rest are a bit longer. There's a lot of like 4-minute tracks on here, which is interesting, because I think he's had, going back to other albums, he's had this entire album had a lot of 4-minute tracks. And a lot of things with me when it comes to albums is I don't really love long songs because they can drag out, but like the songs being long, like it's fine. For Puppet, I'll listen to them. I'll listen to them all the way through. And then New York Family, I think, was a lot of shorter stuff. Yeah, there's only one more 4-minute. There's 1 4-minute song. But the reason I love New York Family so much is because when this album I was so hyped for this album, because this was like the first, I want to say the first, like his first genre blending album, but like it felt like the most genre blending we were gonna get, and it blew away my expectations. That's why I loved it so much. Because you can't see it. I have every single like I have posters that I bought from Puppet. They're all signed. They're all puppets of like Angry All the Time, 2018, Worst Part About Me, and then What's Broken. So all the single drops had posters with them, and I bought every single one signed. I framed them. They look sick. But the point is, like, I listened to this album when I was working on Graveyards, and this album really got me through like a lot of work. So that's another reason why I love it so much. It's a banger of an album. I do wish Puppet would drop CDs of the albums he's had. I understand why he doesn't, because it's just easier to drop them on Spotify, be done. But I want like more merchandise like that, more CDs, just because like that's typically what makes album of the year for me, is if they have CDs with them. But that's just my 2 cents. But going back to the shorter tracks on here, this is kind of one of my negatives and critiques with the album, because I don't want to say it feels like filler, but it kind of does. But I'm sure they mean something to Puppet. Just those tracks aren't for me. Like if this was, and also there's a reamp of a song. This was actually pretty cool though. I did like the reamps. He's done a couple of these, and we're gonna get into that more. But like, I think if it was without the shorter tracks, it probably would have been like probably same like as New York Family or less. But this feels more of like, this album feels more of like a soundtrack, if that makes sense. Like you still got the Puppet vibe, but there's a soundtrack along with it. Like I don't know why that was a choice, but it's not my favorite thing. But I understand why he did it, kind of experiment more. But I thought I'd bring that point up because it's going to go into my rating here of this album. And then we'll get into the other thing that I'm not too happy about with this album is I believe some songs were cut, and I don't know if that's the case. Someone's gonna have to confirm it for me, but there's a lot of songs on here that I really wanted to see. So like Ignorant Fool is not on. So Kawasaki Boy is kind of on the album. It's that reamp version, but it's not the original. So like Ignorant Fool is not on the album. Best Alone is not on the album, and the original Kawasaki Boy is not on the album. The Answer Is Nowhere is not on the album. Answer Is Nowhere reamp is not on there. Bittersweet Sympathy not on there. And then I guess, well, Fuji Rock's from way back. But that's kind of one of my negatives is like those songs were awesome, and I don't know why I think I have an idea as to why they didn't make the album cut. I think it's really easy if you've been paying attention. It's because the album theme changed. That's literally the reason why they aren't on there, because the album theme changed, the album title changed, the vibe of the album changed. I think that's why they aren't on there. But it is my negative. It's like I really wanted those songs on the album because I think that would have been cool, but I can just throw those songs into a playlist. It's fine. But yeah, man, that was kind of like my biggest one. My biggest critique was because like I love those songs. I wish they were on the record. The fact that they're not, it's whatever. And then obviously I already brought it up, but my other negative critique, no CD. That's kind of like that is a requirement for like something to make an album of the year for me, because it's, you know, I could just play the album in the car on my phone through Bluetooth, but like it feels better having a physical thing to hold, like a CD. But I understand why. Again, I said I understand why there's no CDs yet, potentially, but no, overall, like this album is really good. Should have more streams though. Get them up there. Get him up. Puppet's an incredible artist, dude. I literally, I think without his music, there would be something missing from the industry, or like there'd be something missing from the music catalog for a lot of people, I think, because you don't get artists like this anymore. You don't get someone who mixes EDM and like heavy music, that's how I describe it. Because like I think the first song he did that he experimented with, I'm pretty sure, like I could be completely wrong, but the first song he tried experimenting with heavies was on Here Again. Yeah, Here Again was experimentation, because before that he was just doing all EDM tracks, which they were really good. Like I'm not like bashing them at all. They were phenomenal. They were phenomenal tracks. But I don't know, like 2017, that was my August 4th, was that came out the year I graduated high school. That's cool. That's neat. Shows my age, but yeah, like that year he just dropped banger after banger. It was crazy. Very wild. And that's when he started experimenting with the heavies. But I think, okay, yeah, so I Know You Know Who I Am was after he decided to call it quits for music, which I think sucked at the time, but like when he started dropping more, I was super happy. It was super cool to see. But yeah, but let's get into a couple other things with this album. Favorite songs on the album. For just, if we're starting like with the newer tracks and going from the bottom of the list, number 5 is Victory. It's a great song. I love it a lot. 4 is gonna be Penance with A Cloudy Sky. I love those two features on those two songs. Phenomenal. And then it almost was Fade with the Sun with Newport, but I actually like Left Handshake a lot with this. I think the scream towards the end, really cool. And then the 2 singles that did make the album. Well, there's 3 singles that made the album, but at number 2, Cursed with Keepsake. I like that one a lot. And then Who's Haunting You with Distant. That's probably the best song. Oh wait, let me look. I think it's the best song like off the entire album for me. But like going back to the other singles, like it would have been like, the answer is nowhere. It probably would have, if it had made the album, it would have been one of my favorites. But I'd love to know why, though. I'm pretty sure I know why the singles didn't make the album, but would have loved to see them on there. I don't care if it's a 25 length like album. They deserve to be on there because they're so good. They're good. Even if it don't fit the vibe, they're just good. They're good songs. But if I did have to give the album a rating, and I might change it just because like technically only 2 things we can throw CD in there, but I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. It would have been a 7 with the whole CD thing, but it's gonna be an 8 out of 10 with some of the songs being shorter than others, and then some of the singles not making the album were kind of my only critiques, disappointments, what have you. But all in all, I did really enjoy the album because I was looking forward to listening to it, giving it a whirl. It's an album. It's good. I recommend listening to it, just giving it a whirl. I would also recommend trying to. I don't know if it would sound any. I'm wondering if I listened to the album without all the shorter tracks, if it would sound different, or if it would be missing something. Because, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this album. Was the album worth the wait? I think so. Again, I would have loved to see those singles on the album that I mentioned, but overall, banging album. Is it, again, New York Family is still my all-time favorite from him because that album got me through a lot, and it's a phenomenal record. And there's a lot of heavy stuff on that album as well, but I do think is his best work. But yeah, again, I really enjoyed listening to this. Whether or not I made my album of the year, it's still a Puppet album through and through. It's phenomenal. Go give it a listen. But anywho, that's going to be the video for today. But thank you guys for watching, hanging out. I appreciate it a ton. And I will see you guys in the next video. And yeah, goodbye.